What's going on, everybody? Today is Friday, June 12th, and the New York Knicks are officially up 3-1 in the NBA Finals after what was after what was the greatest game I have ever witnessed personally. And you could say, oh, you're a Knicks fan, so of course it's going to be the best game that you've ever seen. You're not wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that my bias doesn't have a part to play in that, but at the end of the day, it's the largest comeback in NBA Finals history. So we're going to break it down all here on this edition of the Barbs Breakdown. Game 4 of the 2026 NBA Finals was the greatest game I've ever watched. Not just because I'm a Knicks fan, not just because it was the largest comeback in Finals history, not just because it was the largest halftime comeback in playoff history of 27 points, but what it means to the city and where the Knicks are now in terms of getting to an NBA title. And it's just the simple fact that they are now one win away from clinching the title. And that game 5, is going to be taking place in about 24 hours. This is a place and a situation that Knicks fans, the organization, and the entire city of New York, we haven't been in this position in 53 years. I was talking to my dad, and he was talking about how the last time the Knicks won in 73, he was 8 years old, and he wasn't allowed to stay up to watch the game, to watch them clinch because it was on the West Coast against the Lakers. To give you context for how long it's been since the Knicks have won a championship, the last time they won in 73, they were playing against the current logo of the NBA in Jerry West. So, just to give you some context right there, it's just, my mind has been everywhere, I can tell you that. My mind has been all over the place for the last 24 hours, and I finally settled down a little bit, so I wanted to get this recording done for you guys and make sure I get this podcast out because still have my duty to do and bring the news to you guys. So let's run through some of my immediate thoughts. The OG shot is the greatest. The OG tip is the greatest let's run that back. Okay. So let's get into my immediate thoughts here about Game 4. The OG Anunoby tip-in is the greatest shot in New York Knicks history, hands down. When you think about the circumstances surrounding that game, Game 4, the other night on Wednesday, just the comeback of being down 29 points. 27 points is the largest halftime comeback in playoff history. 29 points is the largest comeback in finals history. So you add that in there. Then on top of that, if the Knicks lose this game, they go back to San Antonio. It's 2-2, and the Spurs have home court advantage with Game 5 and 7 being at the Frostbank Center. The entire series was hanging in the balance of this game. It was the most important game because it's either, like I just said, you 2-2 back to San Antonio or 3-1, which is where we are right now. In another world, Wemby makes those 2 free throws. In another world, De'Aaron Fox doesn't go for that layup, and he holds out, runs time off the clock, and makes the Knicks foul like he should have. In another world, Jose Alvarado doesn't step up massively in this game and provide a spark off the bench for the Knicks. Let's talk about Alvarado real quick. Jose Alvarado, kid from New York, and let's talk about him because he's a kid from New York, grew up playing basketball against Julian Champagnie in Brooklyn. And for him to be somebody whose role was minimized throughout the season because he hasn't been shooting the best, for him to be put in that situation on Wednesday night and show up when not only his team but his city needed him most, and then to hear what he said after the game and give that interview with MSG Network and hear that New York accent, the authentic New York accent coming from a player on the team, it meant the world to me as a Knicks fan. Because this is a franchise that I have stuck with through some of the darkest times in the franchise's history. Another immediate thought that I had about the OG tip-in was the fact that it's a reverse Ewing. So the Knicks have been essentially breaking all the curses, and one of them being the Ewing finger roll, 1995, second round of the NBA playoffs, Game 7 on home court at Madison Square Garden. 5 seconds left in the game. Ewing gets the inbounds pass, drives into the lane, puts up a finger roll off the back iron. Josh Hart's missed layup on that fast break would have lived in infamy with the Ewing finger roll if the Knicks lose Game 4. If they lose that game. Josh Hart was saved by OG Anunoby, and he said it himself that OG saved him from a life of regret. But back to the Ewing finger roll. When the ball hits the back iron, the back of the rim, there's 1.2 seconds remaining. And then, of course, the shot goes off of the back of the rim and out. The Knicks lose that game. They lose the series. The season ends for 1995. The reversal. With OG Anunoby, 5 seconds left in the game. He's the one inbounding it. And I'll get into the OG tip-in breakdown in a little bit, as you can see on the docket. I'll break down the play a little bit more, but the significance of the play. OG puts it in with 1.2 seconds remaining in the same exact spot that Patrick Ewing missed the finger roll. OG Anunoby jumped from the same spot Ewing did and missed the finger roll. So, in my mind, OG Anunoby, immediately my mind went to, that's the Ewing. He just reversed the Ewing curse. This team is a team of destiny. And they are a team of destiny. The Knicks now have the opportunity to close out the NBA Finals in 5 games. And where else would they want to do it but on the road? And you could say, why wouldn't they want to do it in Madison Square Garden? Well, let me give you some stats here. The Knicks have won 8 straight playoff games on the road. On top of that, they are plus 118. That's their point differential. Plus 118 in their 3 closeout games so far this postseason. In closeout games, they're beating teams on an average of close to 40 points. And on the road, as I just mentioned, they've won 8 straight in the playoffs. So, as of right now, things are looking very, very, very good for the New York Knicks. I would take them in Game 5. Even though they're underdogs right now, they are plus money. They are plus money right now. This series could have very well been 3-1 in favor of the Spurs. That was another one of my immediate thoughts, was we're about 2 to 3 plays away from this being 3-1 Spurs, and they're on the way to being the second youngest, second youngest champions. Yeah, but they were down there. They would have been on their way if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama dribbling the foot off, or dribbling. If it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama dribbling the ball off of his foot in Game 1. If it wasn't for him throwing the ball off of Steph Castle's back in Game 2. And if it wasn't for him missing those free throws and De'Aaron Fox being an absolute bonehead for the majority of the second half, this series is 3-1 in favor of the Spurs. And that's just how close these games have been. That's how close these games have been. But the Knicks were down 27 points at half in Game 4. They were down 20 with 9:53 to go in the fourth quarter. They outscored the Spurs 58-30 in the second half. And I want to talk about the Spurs real quick, because in the first half, there's a lot of people online, myself included, I'll put myself in there, who might have sent out a tweet about the refereeing, because the officiating throughout this series has not been very good. So immediately when Cat picks up those 2 quick fouls, there's a couple goaltends that get missed by the refs. You start to think, okay, is this how it's going to be for the 3rd straight game? And it could have been easy for my judgment to be clouded. And just think about the refs and zone in on the refs and be like, that's the reason why the Knicks are losing this game. But I had to put my journalism hat on. I had to look into it, look into the stats, see what was going on. Well, for starters here, maybe it's the fact that the Spurs shot 59.6% from the field in the first half. They were 14 of 26 from beyond the arc for 53.8%. That's pretty incredible, all things considered. Now, I'll take it back to my dad here real quick, because here's a quote from him, especially when it comes to playoff basketball, whether it be, college playoff basketball with March Madness or, the NBA playoffs. It always evens out in the halves. In the back of my mind, I can't sit here and say that I wasn't dejected and I hadn't given up. I hadn't given up, but I was very, very, very dejected at halftime, being down 27 points at home. But in the back of my mind, there's always that thought. It always evens out. And I want to give a shout out to Zoe Stisser as well. He texted me at halftime and he said, "Great moments are born out of great opportunities." To quote Miracle and Herb Brooks. That's what he texted me. Did I believe him? No, I ignored his text. And I was like, texted him back after the game just saying, "Hey, sorry I ignored the text, but I was kind of locked in on Inside the NBA explaining why the Spurs were up that much at the half." The Knicks played terrible defense. I'm tired of the help defense from the Knicks. It puts them in bad spots, especially against a team like the Spurs, who are fantastic from beyond the arc, or at least for one half are fantastic from beyond the arc, because Devin Vassell just didn't miss a three in the first half of Game 4, and the Knicks left him wide open half the time from three for no reason. Keldon Johnson, I talked about him previously. 6th man of the year. He went 1 of 5 from the field. My other immediate reaction to the game was, why was the ball not in Dylan Harper's hands? And the obvious answer there is he's a rookie. He's 20 years old. That's fine. You could say that, but he's not a rookie anymore, in my opinion. I was on the Joe Murray show last night. He had me call in. Shout out Joe, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Night show host, Joe Murray. Shout out Skaz, too. Producer, Street Team Joe as well. All the boys over there. But they had me on last night. And Street Team Joe asked me how I felt about Dylan Harper and whether or not I think he should have had the ball in his hands down the stretch a little bit more. Or at least been in the game. And my answer to that is yes. He should have been in the game, and he should have had the ball somewhat in his hands. Or the ball should have been given to him at one point, and if he wants to make the decision as to what he wants to do with said ball, he can do so. He has proven, he's putting, first off, one of the best rookie postseason campaigns of all time from Dylan Harper. The second thing is he's probably been their most consistent guard throughout this entire series. So those two things together, how do you not feed the hot hand? I understand that he's a 20-year-old rookie, but he's playing way above his age. Punching way above his weight class with the way that he plays. And it's not like he's a small guard either. He's 6'5". So I think that he should have had the ball in his hands, or at least been in the game, because he has been the best guard for the San Antonio Spurs so far throughout the NBA Finals. Key moments to Game 4, Cat picking up 2 fouls in the first minute and 5 seconds. It was the first thing that I could think of when I was like starting to feel that the tide was turning in favor of the San Antonio Spurs, and it makes sense. The defensive presence of Karl Anthony Towns was very much missed in not only the first quarter, but the entirety of the first half for the New York Knicks. If it were up to me, after this season, Mitchell Robinson, you're probably not a Knick anymore. I think that you have hit your ceiling, and you're now, we've squeezed all the juice that we can out of the Mitchell Robinson, lemon. So I think as of right now, Mitch might be on the way out, because if, let's say hypothetically here, the Knicks close it out on Saturday night, they win the championship in 5, you need a viable second man, and Mitchell Robinson has not been playing necessarily the way that you would want a possible, 1A, 1B center situation. Karl Anthony Towns is 1A, 1B is very clearly, or the number 2 you could say, is Mitchell Robinson, but they offer different things, or at least we thought, because Karl Anthony Towns wasn't developing very well as a defender, and now he is. So the defensive presence of Cat was missed, and I think the offensive presence as well, obviously, because he's an offense-first center, was also very much missed in that first half. That's why the first key moment for me was him picking up those 2 fouls. It was very similar to Mikal Bridges in Game 3. It's just another key piece of the Knicks team that they had to play without for an entire half and for a very pivotal part of the game. And, well, maybe not the most pivotal, as we know what happened throughout the rest of the game. But moving on here, the Spurs took advantage of Karl Anthony Towns being on the bench. They went up by double digits immediately, and I think this is a pretty cool stat. They are the first team in NBA history to have a 10-point lead in the first quarter in all 4 games so far. So through and through, they are clearly an early on team. Like the Spurs are clearly a team where they're gonna jump down your throat immediately. They're gonna try and push the pace immediately. The issue is, and especially because I think there's a little fatigue in these other games. Instead of having those 2 days of rest, you only have 1, and I think that fatigue, it's been hitting Victor Wembanyama pretty hard. And Mitch Johnson went for the kill shot. If you notice, Luke Cornett at one point in this game, I think it was in the second half, came into the game for about 38 seconds, I think the total was. I think it was, 38 seconds. And then of game time. And then Wemby came back in because Mitch Johnson felt the Knicks were coming back. He felt the Knicks were coming back, and he wanted to go for the kill shot on them. And obviously, you're going to go for the kill shot by putting your franchise player in the game and making him play. But going back to it, Wemby hit a tough layup over Mitchell Robinson. That was the next key moment to go up 37-20, and then he started pointing to his head. This is now the time where Mitchell Robinson followed up with an elbow on the next offensive possession. He received a flagrant foul. Speaking of flagrant fouls, the next key moment that I wanted to talk about, and I know that it was a little bit later in the game, Victor Wembanyama should be suspended for Game 5 as of right now. He should be serving a 1-game suspension. He picked up his third flagrant of the playoffs. Now, if the NBA had ruled that Victor Wembanyama throwing Jalen Brunson to the ground was a flagrant, Wemby would currently be suspended for Game 5. And in reality, he should be suspended for Game 5 because he picked up another flagrant. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys have seen the video out there, but if you look it up, Wemby at one point, it seems as though he tries to take out OG Anunoby's ACL. And I know that a lot of you right now are saying probably, oh, well, you're not really giving the Spurs a lot of credit. The Spurs played some of the best basketball I think that I have ever seen in my entire life in that first half. They were a well-oiled machine. They were about as close to perfect as you could be. It was just flat-out domination from the San Antonio Spurs in that first half. That's why they were up 27 at halftime. And speaking of halftime, I felt bad for Wu-Tang. Let's just talk about this for a second. I'm a big Wu-Tang guy. I'm excited. They're coming to Hartford at the end of the summer. I'm probably going to go see them. The entire crowd was dead for the reunification of the Wu-Tang Clan, in particular because the Knicks were down so terribly. Now, the Knicks were up at halftime in Game 3. I know that the president was in the building, and on top of that, Cardi B performed at halftime. So there could be bad vibes there all around. But to bring it back, you're down 27, Wu-Tang performs, get a little juice going. I'm not going to attribute this to Wu-Tang. We might give a little, if we're going to give, we're going to give credit pie. There's the blame pie, and then there's the credit pie. Blame pie for the Spurs. Majority of it is got to be on Mitch Johnson and just the way that he coached the game. I mean, it was flat out terrible, and the way that they choked that game away. Credit pie. Probably 20% of that's going to Wu-Tang overall. Next thing, in the third quarter, the Knicks were at one point with 9:27 remaining. In the third, they were down by 29 points. It was 81-52. And this is where things start to get interesting. This is where everything shifts. This is the most amount, with the least amount of time, that the Knicks were down in this game. From there, they started coming back. The rotations, Landry Shamet hasn't necessarily been shooting well, but I can't blame the guy or hate on him, I should say. Or blame him, really. He's one of the main reasons why the Knicks are in this situation. And have the possibility of clinching a championship tomorrow night. So there are all of these different factors that come into it, but the bench for the Knicks stepped up in a way that you wouldn't expect. It's because it wasn't on the scorer chart. It wasn't through shooting. It was through playing tough defense and making the correct passes at the correct times in order to open things up for the Stars to make things happen. OG Anunoby is the he was the unsung hero of the team throughout the entire season, and now people are finally singing his praises, and rightfully so. He is arguably the most lethal player on this Knicks team. He has developed into a very good two-way guard slash forward, you could say, because he could really play the 2 or the 3, more of a 3 guy though, I would say. And he's somebody that his ability to shoot the ball from 3 has really developed from last year to this year and really over the course of this entire season. As of right now, it seems like any time he puts up a 3, it's going to go in. He went 7 of 10 from the field or something like that. He made 7. I'm 90% sure he made. Let's see here. Yeah, he made 7 3-pointers. He went 5 of 5 from beyond the arc in the second half. And in the first half, OG Anunoby was 2 of 4. He made 7 3-pointers, went 7 of 9 from the field, 5 of 5 in the second half. He is obviously the reason that they won this game, but he has been playing this level, not this level of basketball, but this has been his style of play the entire season, is being an effective two-way guy that can really supplement the games of Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson very, very well. Talked about it a little bit earlier about Alvarado. He was incredible. Who else? Deuce McBride. Keep him off the court for right now. Keep Deuce off the court. He's a turnover machine and he's not hitting threes the way that he's supposed to, and that's essentially his entire job out there. I would like it if he didn't see the court as much because he's a defensive liability. That's exactly what he is. And I mentioned it earlier as well about the help defense when it comes to the Knicks. Deuce McBride is the ultimate offender of leaving your man open during the help defense. It is quite incredible to watch him play defense in Mike Brown's system because it's not very good. And when I say incredible, I don't mean it in a good way. I mean it in quite literally, I'm amazed at how bad it is sometimes. So there's that when it comes to Deuce McBride, but he's playing his part to the best of his abilities as of right now. The rest of the team for the Knicks, Josh Hart in particular, the next key moment was him smoking that layup to possibly take the lead. Actually, it's going to be the Brunson 3 over Wembanyama to get the Knicks back within a 2-possession game. I think he made it 104-100. That was the score at that point. Then from there, the next key moment is going to be the Josh Hart missed fast break layup. I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself that it could have been, in real time, I'm thinking that it's, first off, one of the worst sequences for a player in the history of the NBA, because you smoke a wide open layup to possibly take the lead and then you go commit a foul down on the other end on the opposing team's franchise player, being Victor Wembanyama. Now that takes us to the next key moment, and possibly the biggest key moment of the entire game, which is Victor Wembanyama missing those 2 free throws. You put the guy at the line. He takes 10 seconds at the free throw line just to get into his routine and shoot the ball. And for him to miss like that, it was one of the ultimate ball don't lie moments, in my opinion. Just seeing, because mind you, I'm with my buddy during this time. I'm with him. We're like interlocking arms. We're like holding each other. We're like, dude, what is going on right now? What is going on? And we're just in a state of panic and shock because there's a chance that the Knicks might have come all the way back just to throw it away. So he misses those 2 free throws. We erupt. It was incredible just watching him miss those 2 free throws. And then from there, you get a Brunson layup. And then after the Brunson layup happens on the other end, Knicks take the lead off of the Brunson layup with the left hand. It's 105-104. From there, Stephon Castle is fouled. Goes to the line, shoots 2 free throws, hits both of them. And then we get to De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox had one of the worst halves of basketball I think you could have. And I'm not necessarily talking shooting-wise, because Yes, was the shooting terrible? He shot 25% from the field in the second half. Yes, it wasn't good shooting at all. But in the second half alone, he had 4 turnovers. Including one of the most costly possibly in Spurs history when he was blocked. Because I'm a Knicks fan, man. That was a foul on OG. I got really scared right there. By the grace of God, OG Anunoby wasn't called for a foul there. But still, one of the worst turnovers and most boneheaded decisions I think I've ever seen from an NBA player of all teams. This is what I'm talking about when I say Dylan Harper should have had the ball in his hands or been in the game in general. He wouldn't have made that mistake. Dylan Harper's a 20-year-old rookie that plays like a vet. And the guy in De'Aaron Fox, who's supposed to be this quote-unquote vet of this super young team, making a play like that and a decision like that in that moment, it's going to go down in infamy. And De'Aaron Fox has to live with that the rest of his life. And now they're up 3-1. And now the Knicks are up 3-1. Teams that have gone up 3-1 in the NBA Finals, 37 and LeBron. That's how I'll say it. 37 and LeBron. 2016 Cavs are the one team. We all know that. So other than LeBron James, the greatest player of all time, doing it, nobody else has done it. I'm not saying that the series is over because it's not. It's not over. There's been a 3-1 comeback before. We know that. So I'm not going to say that it's over until it's officially over. But is it looking good? You're damn right it is. Obviously, the last moment that I have to bring up is the OG Anunoby tip-in. Second to last moment, because we got to talk about Karl Anthony Towns on the final play. But the second to last moment that I got to talk about is the OG Anunoby tip-in. That's going to be in the next segment. We're going to break that entire play down. The last key moment that I want to talk about, though, is going to be Karl Anthony Towns tipping the inbounds pass in real time. And I think the majority of fans around the world thought this. Everyone thought that Dylan Harper had just made a bad pass, which he did. He didn't necessarily time up when Karl Anthony Towns was going to jump. That's a rookie mistake. It absolutely is. But at the same time, Karl Anthony Towns tipped that ball. It falls short. Steph Castle has to pick it up, unable to pick it up cleanly, which as a UConn fan, watching Stephon Castle break free and get some separation between him and Josh Hart, I thought he was going to jam that on him. And it would have been the highlight of all highlights. If Stephon Castle is able to receive that ball cleanly and just flush it and absolutely punish the rim the way that he wanted to, would have been an all-time highlight in NBA history. I've seen it happen before when he was in a UConn jersey. Thankfully, that didn't happen because Karl Anthony Towns, cheeky bastard, asked a couple fans to move over to crowd Dylan Harper a little bit more so he didn't have as much room. Veteran move, cheeky move, got you the win. It helped out. It definitely helped out. So, all of those things together really made this game special. There's all-time moment after all-time moment after all-time moment, all-time blunder after all-time blunder, Josh Hart to De'Aaron Fox to this, to that, like Wemby choking and missing those 2 free throws. Like, there is this game, if you spent $5,000 to get into this game, which is insane in the first place, at least you got your money's worth. And this is probably the only game in the history of games where that sentiment could be true. That and the kick 6, I think. There are 2 main points that I want to make about this OG Anunoby tip-in. First thing is first. The Spurs guarding 5-on-4 is what lost them the game. They're guarding 5-on-4 off the inbound. Nobody is guarding OG Anunoby when he's inbounding the ball from the sideline. That's supposed to be De'Aaron Fox's man. Now, when he inbounds the ball over to Jalen Brunson, you notice Wembanyama is up on him. That makes sense. De'Aaron Fox also comes over with the help defense. this could either be me giving Jalen Brunson too much credit, or this could be exactly his thought. I think in his mind, he saw the fact that, one, Wembanyama, the main paint threat in the entire NBA, was up beyond the perimeter, way beyond the perimeter, so Brunson put up a 31-foot shot. The second thing that he saw was the fact that De'Aaron Fox was helping him. If he's double-teamed, that means the Knicks have numbers down low 4-on-3. And especially if OG Anunoby is unguarded like he was, which Brunson saw, I think he put up that shot purposely because OG Anunoby did have a clear lane to get down and make that tip-in happen. I think, like I said, it could either be me giving Brunson way too much credit, or he could just be the smartest player in the NBA, put up a shot that he knew he was going to miss, knowing that he was going to have a 4-on-3 advantage down low in order to get a rebound and a putback. Also, on top of the fact that Wembanyama was way beyond the perimeter with him. So either Brunson was super smart, or De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs are super dumb. And I keep saying De'Aaron Fox in particular. I'm not trying to jump on top of him or hop on a wave of making fun of him or anything. No, that's a boneheaded decision. I understand that you're trying to close out this game and tie up the series at 2 apiece. You need to know who your man is. And especially if you're going to be guarding 5-on-4 off the inbound and you're not even guarding the inbound man, you need to at least make an effort to find the man who is inbounding after he's already inbounded the ball, instead of going to help the 7'6" alien that's guarding the 6'2" chubby-headed Dominican jelly bean. In Jalen Brunson, I say it with love. I love him. He's awesome. I love Jalen Brunson. But that's how it is. You cannot do that. It's simple basketball. You need to have everybody accounted for, especially if you're trying to guard 5v4 off the inbounds. So OG Anunoby was wide open because nobody was guarding him. De'Aaron Fox in particular wasn't guarding him. He had a clear lane right in front of him, and he took it. He took the opportunity to go put that ball back up and in. And Brunson, in my opinion, knowing that he had Fox and Wembanyama in his face, just tried to get the shot high enough so it would hit the rim and somebody down there would be able to put it back up and in. That's exactly what happened. Knicks win the game. All right, it is time for me to answer your calls once again. I put it up on my Instagram saying to call in at the number that you see below on the bottom line ticker. And let's get into this first one here. It is going to be from Lorenzo. Lorenzo, how are we doing?
Hey, Josh, Lorenzo calling in here. First-time caller, long-time listener, but just wanted to, my hot take of the day is breakfast is the best meal of the day. Not the most important, the best meal of the day. I mean, you can go so many different avenues with it. You can go light, you can go big. You know, you got pancakes, you got breakfast sandwiches, you got waffles, you got omelets, you got oatmeal, you got yogurt bowls. I mean, so diverse, so many good foods. Best meal of the day. Nothing rivals to it. Nothing like getting a good start to your day. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks.
Breakfast is not the most important. That's what the take said. Breakfast is not the most important, but it is the best meal of the day. I am going to have to agree with you, Lorenzo. Breakfast for me has always been my favorite meal of the day. Normally made, some of my best memories are just me waking up on like a weekend morning and having breakfast made for me by my mom. She's an awesome cook. Love you, Mom. Shout out my mom. But I do have to say, yes, I am in 100% agreement. Breakfast is probably the best of meal of the day. Because here's the thing, ready? I agree with everything that you said. The variety is unmatched because if you go lunch, in my opinion, for lunch, there's not many options. It's a limited option pool as far as lunch goes because you're either going, in my opinion, sandwich or salad. You're going one of the two S's for lunch, either sandwich or salad. Or if you want to spice things up, you could go get a bowl from like Chipotle or something, but in my opinion, that could be categorized as a salad. It could be. I'm not saying that I categorize it as one. I'm saying it could be. So I think lunch is one of the least important. It also depends on the person, because maybe you're one of those people that you skip breakfast, you have a medium-sized lunch, and then you go and you have a big dinner. So I think it depends on personal preference overall, but I think as of right now, for me, breakfast not most important, but best meal of the day. You could go breakfast for dinner too. Like we didn't even did he go into breakfast burritos? I don't think he did. No, I'm looking at the transcript that they give you on the voicemail app. He didn't go into breakfast burritos. Dinner. Let's talk dinner, because people are gonna probably be, oh well, that's in my opinion the best meal of the day. I had notes on this one real quick, because I did listen to this voicemail beforehand. When it comes to dinner, it's you can't, with the dinner, you got to go savory and salty. You're not going to go sweet necessarily with a dinner. With breakfast, you could go sweet and salty together. You could go just sweet. You could go just salty. We're not even getting into the breakfast burrito talk here. We're not even talking about breakfast burritos. Just got brought into this conversation. I'm agreeing with this take through and through. Breakfast, best meal of the day, hands down. Let's get into this next call here. Thank you, Lorenzo, for calling in. I agree with what he's saying. Pancakes, breakfast sandwiches, waffles, omelets. Yeah, acai bowls too. We didn't even talk about it. Does that count? Overnight oats is good. I know he mentioned oatmeal. Yeah. Let's move on here. Next call is going to be, let's get into this next call here.
Hey, Barb. I was just in the liquor store.
Okay.
And I thought about your show. Just grabbed a bunch of liquid carbs to drink tonight, a.k.a. beer. And I was thinking, you know what? The New York Giants are one of the saddest franchises in all of sports, other than my favorite football team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders are probably slotted at 4.5 over-under for the win total for the season. I think I'm taking the over. I think I'm taking Kirk. I'm taking Mando. I like the Linderbaum action with Genti here, too. Hammering Genti over 1,000 rushing yards. He's my first pick in fantasy football.
Yep.
Brock Bowers is a borderline first-round pick.
Yep.
Going to see 140 targets, 150 targets. I'm not joking, 150 targets. I would bet on it. Jackson Dart's a fake quarterback. He's not even a real quarterback. Cam Scadaboo was a fullback. You really just don't have much talent. Malik Neighbors is dead. He's dead. Similar thing with him and Tate Dell. So, at the end of the day, I think the Giants are going to have 4 wins. I think you're going to be picking within the top 5 next year. You go out, you get your wide receiver 1. You go out, you get Jeremiah Smith. Malik Neighbors is dead, so, he doesn't even matter anymore. But you know what? Thank you so much. I love this, and it's awesome what you're doing. The Raiders will be better than the New York Football Giants. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Okay, so let's break this down here real quick. First off, a lot with the Raiders. Over 4.5 victories. Yes, I agree. I don't know how it's that low as of right now, if we're being totally honest. I think that Jackson Powers Johnson is going to really take that next leap this year and become an all-league center. I think that's what's going to happen. Linderbaum there helping him as a veteran is going to be big. Then on the quarterback side of things, you know that you have Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins is a fantastic mentor to have. So there's that. On top of that, if we're shifting things to the other side, Genti is probably a first-round pick in fantasy this year. They have I like what Clint Kubiak is building in the building. Ironic right there. He's building in the building with Tom Brady being one of the minority owners. And I think as of right now, they are definitely going to get probably over 4.5 wins. Yeah, I would take the over right now if you're a betting guy. If you're somebody that is going to bet on the over-under of teams this year, I think this is one of the best ones that you could get as of right now. Over 4.5 wins for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm in on that. Now, the stuff you said about the Giants, disgusting. Are the Giants going to be be good this year. I think that they'll be middle of the road, average to below average, but I think that they will also be one of the most entertaining teams in the NFL this year. That doesn't mean that they're going to be good. That means that they're going to be entertaining. Is Malik Neighbors dead? No. Is his knee cooked? Absolutely it is. His knee is not looking good right now, and I can't necessarily say that I am somebody who is confident that he will return within the timetable that the Giants have set for him. So that's my take on that. That's not a bad take at all. I don't think that the Giants will be worse than the Raiders, but from what you're saying, over Gentry 1,000 yards, I think over 100 receptions for Brock Bowers, and I'm going to have to also go with over 1,000 yards. Yeah, so over 1,000 yards for Gentry, over 100 receptions for Brock Bowers, and over 4.5 wins. I feel like for as of right now, from where we're sitting June 12th, going into this NFL season, yeah, I would consider those locks, to be honest with you. I would take that right now in a heartbeat. That will wrap it up for this edition of the Barbs Breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure to turn on those push notifications so you never miss a new upload. We will be back on Monday following Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Win or lose for the New York Knicks, we will be back here on Monday night to discuss Game 5 and also what's going on in the Stanley Cup Finals as the Carolina Hurricanes took a 3-2 lead over the Vegas Golden Knights last night. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to more of that in this episode, but this is already a long enough episode as it is. I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time out there, so have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.